Hello, I am Rekha, biology teacher from Mary School. Today I am here to talk about the topic photosynthesis in higher plants. Photosynthesis. What is photosynthesis? It's a common term which we have been hearing in science right from our lower grades. To just define what is photosynthesis, it is a process wherein plant takes in the carbon dioxide and water in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll gives sugar and oxygen. Now, when I'm talking about photosynthesis, we just told that they take in the carbon dioxide and water and give us the sugar as well as the oxygen. So the aim of photosynthesis is to give the sugar as well as the oxygen. I mean, to use the raw materials which it has taken and give us the react products like the sugar as well as the oxygen. Now, a second doubt is who absorbs this light? Then where do this energy come from to make this process, that is the raw materials into the products? And where does exactly the sugar preparation happen? So this is what we will be going to discuss today in this class. So as we know that the aim is to prepare the sugar and give out the waste product like oxygen through, and it is which is sent through the stomata. Now, who absorbs light? We have just gone through the chlorophyll structure, that is the chloroplast structure, wherein we saw that there are certain pigments inside the chloroplast which absorbs the light. Now, in detail, we will see how it is absorbed and all. Now, where does this energy come from? And where does this sugar preparation actually happen is what we'll be seeing today. So when I'm talking about photosynthesis, just now as I said that the sugar will be produced, isn't it? So the sugar to produce, the photosynthesis will happen in two parts. That is, it will happen in two parts. First one is the light reaction and the second one is called the dark reaction. So what is light reaction and what is dark reaction? Light reaction is a directly light-driven reaction wherein it is dependent upon the light, that is the source of light, mainly the sunlight. The plants will take in the sunlight. So it is directly dependent on the sunlight. So I am calling it as the light reaction. If there is no sunlight, the reaction will not happen. Now, where does this occur? This occurs in the thylakoids of the chloroplast. Now, what is thylakoids? If we just recall quickly the structure of the chloroplast, those disc-shaped structures which are stacked in the form of grana. So each disc is called as a thylakoid. So this light reaction happens in the thylakoid. Now, what is the result of this reaction? The light reaction, they give the synthesis of ATP and NADPH. ATP, as we all know, that is the currency of the cell, that is adenosine triphosphate. But what is NADPH? Again, it is a high energy molecule. Each NADPH will have 3 ATP molecules. Now, what is NADPH? That is nicotinamide adenine diphosphate. So this light reaction, again to recall, it is a light-driven reaction and it occurs in the thylakoids of the chloroplast and it helps in the synthesis of ATP and NADPH. So now one of our major question earlier, like where do the energy come from? So now we got the question. Yes, we get this energy from the light reaction which happens in the thylakoids. Okay, now we got the ATP. The next reaction is called the dark reaction. It doesn't mean that it will happen in the dark. Only thing is, it need not require the sunlight directly. It doesn't mean that it happens in the night time when it is completely dark. No, it is not driven by the light. So it is indirectly driven by the light. How? because as we just knew that the energy which we are synthesizing from the light reaction, that is the ATP and NADPH, is utilized here, and then the reaction will take place. Now this reaction will take place in the stroma. Now stroma is the inner membrane space which is seen inside the chloroplast. Now this reaction will occur in the stroma and it doesn't require the light directly. So what is the reaction here which will happen? Till now we got only the energy in the light reaction. Now utilizing this light energy which we got from the light reaction, the carbon dioxide, that is the raw material which it has taken, will be converted to sugar here. Now these are the light and the dark reactions. Now when we are talking about this light and dark reactions, we said that yes, in the light reaction I told that it is directly light driven and it occurs in the thylakoids. But who absorbs this light? Again I'll get back to the question. Who absorbs the light? Who absorbs this light? The pigments in the chloroplast, right? Now till now we have been learning that chlorophyll is a pigment which absorbs the sunlight in the chloroplast. Now my doubt is it only one pigment, or are there any other more pigments which help in the process of photosynthesis? So let us just now understand, is it only one pigment, or there are many other pigments which help in the photosynthesis? First, let us see what is a pigment. Pigments are those substances that have ability to absorb light at specific wavelengths. When I'm telling that these are the substances, well, why didn't I tell it as a substance, or why didn't I use the word pigment? It means indirectly I'm trying to tell you that the photosynthesis, that is the pigment which is involved in the photosynthesis, is just not one. There are few more pigments which help in the photosynthesis. But why there are so many pigments? Because they have the ability to absorb the sunlight at various wavelengths, which we'll just see shortly what are those wavelengths and all. Then what are the other pigments? Examples of the other pigments? We all generally know chlorophyll A. But the other pigments are chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, xanthophylls, carotenoids. So these are the four pigments which we see in the photosynthetic process. And somewhere or the other, these pigments absorb the light at certain specific wavelength and they help in the process of photosynthesis. Let us now just understand what is the role of this photosynthesis. Before that, let us see what is this wavelength and what is this, which wavelengths does this chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, xanthophylls and carotenoids absorb this light. Now, as you know that sunlight is the main source for the photosynthesis. Is the whole complete light, whichever the light which is given by the sun, is absorbed by the plant, or is it only some part of it is absorbed by the plant? So the answer is the plant will not absorb whole or the complete light which is given. It only absorbs certain wavelength of light, and that is utilized for the photosynthesis. Now you know that light is an electromagnetic radiation. It has its own electromagnetic spectrum, right? So when you see here, I have just taken the electromagnetic spectrum here in the slide, wherein you can see the electromagnetic spectrum ranges from the gamma rays to the AM waves. That is, if you see the spectrum, you will find gamma rays, X-rays, ultraviolet rays, infrared rays, radar, FM, TV, shortwave and AM waves. Now they all are having different wavelengths. That is why we are calling it as a spectrum, light spectrum. So if you see, there is a certain space between the ultraviolet and the infrared rays, which we call it as the visible light. And we all know that visible light is white in color. But if I pass this visible light through the prism, it divides itself into different colors. Again, it means that the 7 colors are constituting the visible light. Now, what is that visible light? What are the 7 colors? We had learned the mnemonics, right? That is the Vibgyor, Vibgyor. So it ranges from the colors violet to red. So even you can see in the slide that they have the from high energy to low energy. That is, the violet has the high energy, and when you keep moving towards the red, the energy decreases. Now, they also are having different wavelengths. Even in this visible light, we have different wavelengths of absorption spectrum. Now, here, when we see the plant, when it absorbs the light, okay, it absorbs this only the part of the visible light. Now let us see, we have been talking that chlorophyll A, B, carotenoids and xanthophylls are there, that they absorb at specific wavelengths, right? So it means that these 4 pigments absorb the light in one or in these specific wavelengths of the visible light, that is ranging from the violet to red. So let us see now about each pigment, how and what are they. So let us talk about the chlorophyll A. Chlorophyll A is a blue-green color pigment. It is a blue-green color pigment, and it is the most important pigment which is involved in the photosynthesis. Now, how am I telling that it is an important pigment involved in the photosynthesis? Now, if we see the figure 1, wherein you can see a graph plotted for chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B and carotenoids. For the chlorophyll A, you can see it is the dark green in color, chlorophyll B, which is light greenish in color, and carotenoids and the xanthophylls are represented in the form of yellow graph. Now, on the x-axis, I took wavelength of the light, and on the y-axis, I took the absorption of the pigments. Now, when I'm talking about chlorophyll A, you can see across the wavelength spectrum, that is the wavelength, you can see there are 2 peaks. Right, so one in the blue region and one in the red region. There are 2 peaks. It means what? That the chlorophyll A is absorbing maximum of the light in that blue region as well as in the red region. That is why we are getting 2 peaks over there. But if you see the chlorophyll B, now when you are seeing the chlorophyll B, you can see only one big peak somewhere around again in the blue region. But whereas a lower peak when it comes towards the orange or the red region. So it means what? It is only able to absorb light at a certain wavelength in the blue region. And that is the reason it is having only one big peak. And if you see the carotenoids or the xanthophylls, which I have represented in yellow color, you can see that it is having only peak in the blue region, whereas there is no absorption in the red region. So it indicates what? They absorb the wavelength only in the blue region. So even the Engelmann's experiment, which we have done in the earlier in this chapter only, wherein it was told that Engelmann has proved that during his algae experiment, he found that the absorption was mostly done in the region of blue and red. So that experiment, if you compare, and with this graph, even you can tell that the chlorophyll A was the pigment which was the most significant one, which has absorbed the light in the blue and the red region. So that is why we are having the 2 peaks. Right? Now, if I see the action spectrum, that is in the figure 2. You can see the absorption spectrum. Now I have only represented the chlorophyll A in the blue color. Now that is the peak of the absorption spectrum of the pigment chlorophyll A. Now if you see the action spectrum, that is the photosynthetic action. When the pigments have taken in the light, there was some action, that is the photosynthesis happening. Now when I plot the graph, I have plotted it in the color red here. Now you can see that maximum amount of photosynthesis happened only where there are high peaks, wherein there was a dip in the photosynthesis in between, which indicates that there was certain amount of photosynthesis also which happened, but not as good as in the zones of chlorophyll A. So here with this graphs, we can tell that chlorophyll A is the most significant pigment which was involved in the photosynthesis. So now we know about the chlorophyll A. Now what about the other pigments? The other pigments are called as the accessory pigments. It means that accessory, it does mean they are not important, but they give a add-on. So when these pigments are present, they will add on to the absorption of light and help in the process of photosynthesis. So A absorbs maximum light, maximum of the light of the sun, whereas B takes in a few, that is again in the wavelength of the blue color, it absorbs the light and passes it on to the zone. That is the light reaction centers, which we will study about in the next class about the light reaction center. Now, they will absorb the light, and hence you can see in the action spectrum here, there was no dip inside, isn't it? So you can see at the peak, there was a peak at the chlorophyll A, and it did not fall down very quickly. There was no, the slope is very slow. Right, so it indicates what, that there were other pigments also which absorbed the light, but it was not as maximum as the chlorophyll A. So who did this absorption? This accessory pigments did the absorption. So what do? They are accessory pigments. They are just like the add-ons which help in the process of photosynthesis. Who are they? Chlorophyll B, carotenoids and xanthophylls. Right, now they also have a major role, that is they protect the chlorophyll A from photooxidation. This is again a major role of the other accessory pigments. Chlorophyll A is very light sensitive. It gets oxidized quickly. Okay, so when it gets oxidized, it is not able to perform the photosynthesis properly. So what will happen? So these other pigments help in protecting this chlorophyll A from getting oxidized. In this way, that is the reason I call them, they are accessory pigments. They are really an add-on which help in the absorption of the light in the other wavelengths of the other wavelength, as well as they protect the chlorophyll from photooxidation. Now we had seen that the chlorophyll A is blue-green in color. Chlorophyll B is yellowish green in color. Xanthophylls, yellow color, and carotenoids, yellow to orange. So these are the colors of the pigments. But when you see a leaf, you will find it completely green in color. Now this is the leaf I'm talking. Now suppose this is the spinach leaf I took, okay? Now when I'm taking this is the spinach leaf, right? Now you can see only the proper green color, isn't it? Now, if this green color, where do I see the other colors? That is what I've been talking about, yellow-green in color, yellow orangish in color, right? But now, if I remove the chlorophyll A from this, what you will find? This dark green color leaf will appear pale green in color. That is again because of the presence of the chlorophyll B. Right? Now even if I remove the chlorophyll B, you will find the leaf in light yellowish in color. That is again because of the presence of the xanthophylls and the carotenoids. So how do we ascertain that every leaf has all these pigments? We can do it in the form of an experiment called chromatography. This chromatography helps us to understand because it separates the pigments in the chromatogram. That is, we get a graph wherein the colors, that is the pigments, are separated as per the color. So you can ascertain that every leaf will have these pigments, the accessory pigments as well as the chlorophyll A. So now let us see how this experiment can be done. What we are talking about the chromatography. So what are the things required for the chromatography? What is chromatography? As I told, chromatography is a process wherein which helps in separating the pigments or the substances which are present in a solution. Now here, what is the solution we'll be having? The pigments, leaf. The pigments which are present in the leaf. So what are the things required for this? I require petroleum ether, and I require acetone, then mortar and pestle, a measuring cylinder, the chromatographic column, and few spinach leaves. Now what am I going to do with this? Now take spinach leaves, keep it in the mortar and pestle, add acetone and grind it to a fine paste and filter the solution. So the pigments are now dissolved in the acetone. So finally, I'll be getting the acetone dissolved pigments. The pigments are now dissolved in the acetone. So what am I going to do with them? Now once I get it, take a chromatography paper. Take this chromatography paper. Now make it in the form of a notch. Okay, and then see that in the about the notch, about almost 1 centimeter up, using a tube. Okay, try to keep the loading spot and try to keep a dot on it so that it doesn't spread. Okay, now when you do, you will be getting in this way. Now this is my loading spot. Now dry it. Do not keep it in the sunlight. Now once it is dried, again load it at the same spot. See that it doesn't spread out. See that the dot, whatever the material or the pigment solution or the acetone extracted pigment, you put it again at the same spot, dry it. So repeat this procedure for at least 4 to 5 times. Now once the procedure is done, now let us make the chromatography column. Now in the chromatography column, I have to take the petroleum ether in the 9 ml and acetone 1 ml. So I do it with the measuring cylinder and pour it in the chromatography column. Okay. Now once it is poured, now insert your chromatography paper in it. See that it doesn't touch the walls and you do not shake it more when you take it out. Okay. So now I am introducing my chromatography paper. Do not shake it much. Okay. Then I am closing with the lid because it is having the petroleum ether. Now you will find it slowly the movement of the solvent. The solvent which I have taken is of petroleum ether and the acetone. So how does this work? The solvent, this is an ascending chromatography wherein the paper absorbs due to the capillary action. The solvent moves up against the gravity. Now when it is moving up, you will find it will take the pigments also along with it which are seen in the absorbed by the paper. So this is how you will find the movement of the pigments along the chromatography column when it is moving, when the solvent keeps moving up. Okay, we have to wait for some time so that the solvent rises and it keeps moving up to the top. When it keeps moving, you will find that the pigments which are present in the chromatography paper, they are separated into 4 pigments. So let us wait for some time and observe this. This whole of this you can see it in the form of yellow green in color. Now, as per what we have read, yellow green is chlorophyll B. Then you will find a dark green zone here. This is the chlorophyll A. Okay, and then you find a small, maybe the spinach is not having more of the xanthophylls. So it is the region of light. Here you are not able to see. See here. It is xanthophylls, and then comes here carotenoids. You can see the dark yellow color or the orangish color patch. Now this is your carotenoids. If you see here now that this is the carotenoid which I have shown, then the xanthophyle, the chlorophyll region and the chlorophyll B region. So this is how you can tell that a chlorophyll is, that is these pigments are present in the leaf and they are responsible for the photosynthetic process by absorbing sunlight of different wavelength. Okay, so in our next class, let us see what is light reaction and dark reaction and how these pigments actually take in those light energy, different wavelengths, and how the energy, light energy is converted into the ATP and NADPH, and how it is the glucose is actually prepared in stroma. Thank you.
The MCLAP program is integrated into most subject lesson plans and has block periods allocated to it for its implementation right from preschool to senior secondary. The primary years, the child learns team building, collaborative, socio-emotional skills, hard and smart working, positive attitude skills, and many more which are required to build a great institution and a great society. Exposed to careers, profession and industries which are grade level appropriate. When you come to middle school, there are 100 to 120 hours of carefully curated MCLAP program which basically revolves around all of the above at a higher depth. There are regular aptitude tests that are conducted. Basically, the Meruvian is pushed into researching for his or her own future, which is a very exciting space to be in for a child or a parent or the school. For example, if law is picked up as an area of interest, the parent and the child are informed about the job description, the social and emotional intelligence skills that are required for that particular job, the challenges that come with the profession, the famous personalities of that particular industry, the universities and the examinations that need to be written to get into these universities, etc. All these are informed to the parent and the child to make a conscious decision. Along with this, 1 or 2 weeks externship program is designed based on the profession, career or industry the child picks. It's mapped to the child and it has to be pre-decided, so that we have enough time to curate that kind of program for them. All this enables the child and the parent to make a conscious decision which is more methodical, research oriented, passion oriented, based on capabilities and abilities of the child, and most importantly, happiness is the reason why a child should pick up their future in this manner.